All right, we started recording. So we are talking about uh, logo design and branding. So before we continue, I'd like to ask, what does anybody understand by logo? What do you think is logo, and what do you think is branding? Who would like to help us, or we can call your names? So please remember how we said this. Our class is supposed to be very, very interactive. So, what do you understand by logo? Some of you have businesses. You might have used a logo some way, somehow. So, what do you think is logo design? Please speak. We have Priska. We have, who again do we have here? Osawe, Priska, Ugbaje. You guys can hear me, right? Don't tell me yes. What do you think is logo from your own understanding? All right. Okay. What, what represents your brand? That's a good answer. So, um, branding is your business. That's a good answer. It's a good answer. All right. Let's. Does anybody want to say another thing, or I should just continue? In three. Okay. All right. All right. So, uh, an easy way to explain this. Let's say you're a human being. So before anybody sees you, they see your face, right? So if you want to say your full body is your business, you say your face is the logo, right? So the logo is like a representation. So it's an icon which represents the brand, right? So when you're not talking about branding, we're talking about your characteristics. Oh, that guy is tall, he's fair, he has beards, he has a masculine voice, he likes to wear black, he likes to wear red, his favorite food is jollof rice. So branding is not limited to one. So branding is what people say about your brand when you're not around. So if we are talking about MTN right now, what will come to your mind is network providers, right? You might not say MTN is black and yellow. You say MTN, they provide network. But if you go into the MTN industry, well, you find out that MTN do greater things than just provide network, right? They also help NGOs. They do a lot of stuff, right, like that, right? But if you now say, okay, who is MTN? You can't point out at anybody, right? So you have to point out at their logo. So when you say, okay, this is the MTN logo, it is a brand representation, it's a mark. So a strong brand is built upon an effective logo and a comprehensive branding strategy. So to be able to create a good logo, you have to have a good branding strategy, and when that brand strategy and the logo aligns, then you are creating a strong brand. Yes, you said it is a picture, but most times, correctly, a logo is not a picture. Maybe because you don't have the right words to like express it. We can't say a logo is a picture, right? So, but when there are some designers that when they want to design a logo, you use like a full picture. So some people say logo is something that represents what you do. All right, let's look at Apple, right? If you look at Apple, the Apple logo is literally Apple, right? So when you see an apple, are you seeing a computer? No. you're seeing an abstract logo, which is Apple, right? It is their brand name. So it is when you now start to understand their brand strategy, their brand core value, you now understand, okay, why did they choose Apple to represent them? You look at Twitter before. Twitter was a bird, right? You look at Nike. We have a Nike swoosh. So you look at McDonald's. We have like circular stuff like that. Now, some persons, when they if some persons want to design a logo for, maybe they are selling food, if those people have not seen spoon and plate in the logo, they'll say, no, how will they know that is what I'm selling? But do you know that you can create a logo whereby what you have are just words? So as we keep going, we'll start to understand the logo types and what kind of logo can work for the brand that you are working for. All right. So I will list here. Let me look for types of logo. So we'll get back to that. So and I said in this session we'll delve into fundamental principles of logo and design and branding. So explanation, what is a logo? So logos are the visual face of a brand, and designing them requires adherence to core principles that makes them what? Makes them memorable, versatile, and impactful. So these 3 pointers are the main reason you should look out for when designing a logo. One is that the logo should be memorable. So when we say memorable, what do we mean? We mean that whenever you see this logo, you will recognize it anywhere, any day, anytime. Whenever you see the Coca-Cola logo, you will know that, okay, this logo belongs to Coca-Cola, right? You will not be thinking, is this one Fanta or is it Pepsi, right? So there was a time when Fearless and what's this other drink? I don't know. There's another energy drink. They had like similar type of logo. So people begin to think which one is the original one, right? So when designing a logo, you should always make sure that the logo is memorable. And how do we make a logo become memorable? Easy way to do that is to create a good logo. Now, to create a good logo takes a lot of things, and we're going to get to all those steps later on, right? We're going to get to all those steps, like understanding what kind of logos are good logos, right? So that you wouldn't just start designing without knowing what you're doing. All right, so I just got samples of types of logos so that we'll explore them and we'll understand what we are doing. Okay, so adherence to core principles that makes them memorable, versatile, and impactful. So before you design logos, you have to know that there are 7 types of logo. 7, I think. How many there are here? Yeah, 7 types. So we have the logo which is called the wordmark logo. Wordmark. So if we say wordmark logo, what is a wordmark logo? Right? Wordmark logos are logos that are made up of the brand name, right? So when we say wordmark, if you look at the example we have on our screen, the Coca-Cola logo is the complete brand name, the spelling of the name. But it's not just spelling the name, but the name will be crafted, like altered, changed into something special, so that nobody can just create it anyhow, right? So if you also check your phone, if you look at Google, the Google logo is also a wordmark logo, like Google, but they also have like iconography, right, which is just the letter G. But when we're talking about wordmark logo, example, you have eBay here, right? So most brands who accept this type of logo, I think they are mostly modern brands and brands which have understood branding properly, which they understood that the branding is not until when is a abstract mark, right? So they understand the branding is the full branding, when we have the brand pattern, the brand message, the brand color, brand ambassadors, whatever that has to do with the full branding. So some brands go with wordmark logos. So I've said that wordmark logos are logos that are presented with just the name. just the name. So just the name. Now then we have what the other one is net letter mark. So lettermark logos are kind of similar to wordmark logos, but the difference is that sometimes lettermark might be the full name, or sometimes they would use the initials of the name. So for example, CNN, right? So if you check the full meaning of CNN, you find out that it is the news channel or something. So CNN. So they took the letter C, letter N, and the other N from each of the first name and turned it into a logo. Same thing with HP. If you can check and find the full meaning of HP, you find out that HP is not just AP. The HP means something, right? Also like NTA, National Television Authority, right? Stuff like that. STV, Silverbird Television. So such logos are called lettermark logos, whereby we select whether the initials, the first two letters or the three letters, depending on how the brand name is. Then from when we select the three letters, we can now go ahead and design using that name. So whenever you see logos like that that have three names, two names as the icon, if you make proper research, you will find out that those logos are lettermark logos. It means it is an abbreviation. Those logos have meaning. All right, they have meaning. Then the next one, and I think one of the most popular one, are pictorial mark, right? Or you say pictorial logos. So this, as you can see, we have Twitter, we have Shell, and we have Apple. So before Twitter changed their name to X, it was this bird that was their icon, right? So if you make research, you find out that this bird, the reason why they used it was because of what the bird stands for. So Twitter is a space where people talk, make noise, fight from morning to night, a lot of trending things. So they keep talking steadily, and the name also Twitter. So the kind of sound that birds make is called tweet. So birds tweet, right? So when I go, so it's called tweet, right? So from there, the designer got the idea and decided to use a bird to represent the brand. Now, if you look at Shell, Shell is a oil company, but the name is Shell, right? So what would represent Shell properly? Another designer might have decided to use the letter S, put a bit of fire and oil, change the how the design is going to look like. But the designer here decided to use something that looked like a shell. You might have seen, if you have visited a seashore, a bar beach, you would have seen all those little shells. So if you look at the logo, it is the shell that the person used to represent the shell industry. Then also Apple, they sell laptop, they sell wristwatches, they sell stuff like that. But they decided to go for Apple logo. So if you make more research, you find out the reason why Apple was used. So that is why the only way you can know how these brands come up with these icons is when you get to see their brand guideline, right? So it's their brand guideline that will get you to understand why these logos were made this way. All right. Now we now have what we call the abstract mark. The abstract mark. So the abstract mark most times doesn't even look like the icon, like it doesn't look like the brand name. So look at Pepsi. Look at their logo. You will see like, how does this logo represent Pepsi? You wouldn't know because you're not the designer, right? So it's only the designer and the people that he designed for that is going to know why. Why did they do this? So icons like this, they are not just straightforward. You don't just look at them and you understand the brand message once you see it, right? You have to go through the brand guideline. For example, the Nike swoosh. So if you look at this Nike swoosh, the designer that made it got the idea from the Greek goddess, which is named Nike. I think she's the goddess of athleticism, right? And she has like a wing. So when you check her wings, when you bring those wings together, so this Nike swoosh was drawn from the wing. So most times we can get ideas from stuff like that. So let's say I'm designing a logo for a cinema, right? Cinema has to do with screens. So I can decide to like draw an abstract screen, do something like that. Maybe use the letter C, convert it to like a television screen, right? And that might become the logo that I want to design for them, right? So such logos are known as abstract. They are abstract, but when you check the logo rationale, you'll get to understand why and why was this done. And most times this rationale are private materials which the brand owners get to know alone or if they choose to share it with their clients most times. Then another popular logo people use is what we call mascot logos, right? Mascot. So if you are a fan of football, you understand what I mean by mascot. So you see before halftime or before match starts, you see like somebody wearing like a teddy bear costume. So something like that, a costume like that, is what we call mascots. So this is inclusion of the picture of that person in the design. For example, KFC. So if you look at KFC, it has the picture of the owner. Pringles, right? You see picture of someone on it. So those kind of logos are called mascot logos. So you have an original picture which is converted into a vector form, then added with the brand name. So you have created a mascot logo. The next is a combination mark. So what does a combination mark is? So combination mark is the mixture of the logo icon and the brand name, right? So it might be mixture of a word mark and brand name, mixture of the letter mark and the brand name, mixture of the pictorial mark, whatsoever. But when you mix an icon with the brand name, it becomes a combination mark, and that is a very popular kind of logo. In fact, I think the most trendy one that people do most times, where they combine both the brand name and the logo icon, right? And finally, we have the emblem logo, right? So as the name sounds, emblem. So it's mostly used for badges, right? So if you see football clubs that have, or you can call it a crest, right? Let's say the Arsenal Football Club crest. That is what we call an emblem logo. Schools also use it. Universities. So most of their logos are like emblem. So if you make researches about this, you find out industries that use this kind of logo. So that would also help you when selecting a logo for a brand, right? So let's get into practical session of how do you come up with a logo design. So we'll analyze well-known logos. I think we have done that already, such as the Nike swoosh, the Apple logo, and the McDonald's arc, to understand how these logos embody principles like simplicity and memorability and versatility and timelessness. All right. So we'll do that with just the Apple logo. Now the Apple logo is one of the most long-lasting logos. Now that's why when designing the logo, you have to like contract a designer that has experience in logo design. Reason being that when you design a logo and you select a particular color, that will be your brand color, right? For your social media account, for your branded materials, for whatever you have. Now imagine like in 5 years time, you have to like change that same logo again. If you change that same logo, it means that you would have to like create new brand materials again, right? That's what it means. It means you have to create new brand. So it means that you have to create new brand materials. So memorability. Looking at the Apple logo has lasted a long while. Let's see. So it wouldn't be as if we are just talking. So let's look at let's say the Apple logo. So I'm getting it to load. So you will now explore the simplicity, memorability, and so on. I imagine I copied the wrong one. Apple logo, the history of the Apple logo. So the Apple logo was first created in 1976. All right, 1976. I'm not in the word at that time. So 1976 was the first logo, and this was the kind of logo they had, where they have a picture of a man sitting under an apple tree. Right, so you see it's applecomputers.co 1976. I think this logo was designed by Isaac Newton. From what I've researched before, I think it was designed by Isaac Newton, or maybe it was Isaac. No, sorry. This was where they discovered gravity when the apple fell on the floor, and this guy found out that okay, the gravity can drag stuff to the floor. So I think it was Isaac Newton that was sitting on this place. So in 1977, as you know, Apple company is owned by Steve Jobs. So in 1977, Steve Jobs, I think they created a new brand of Apple product, which is called the Macintosh, right? So the Macintosh is what is used currently, which is called the Apple Mac. So I think this is the first Apple product that was made in color. So for them to represent that color, and their brand name was the Apple. So he gave this job to the person who designed this logo. His name is Rob Janoff. Yes, that's his name, Rob Janoff, and he's still alive. Yes, he created this logo. He created the first Apple logo like this, and he gave it this color. Please hold on. So he made this so because of to show that the new product they are making has multicolor. I think it was the first product that is going to show colors. All their system were in black and white. So they created this kind of logo and gave it this multi-colors. Right. So from 1977 to 1998. Now in 1998 they now switched to this one. Right. Instead of using all this multicolor, as you can see, there is nothing changed in the logo. It is still the same logo. Till they got to 1998 and they made it all black. Then 2001, 2007, then year 2014 they went back to this, and still now. So you can see 2014 to present they have been using the same logo. But there are some of us here that we have changed our logo inside 1 year like 500 times. Now when you keep changing your logo steadily, you begin to lose brand trust, right? So if you want to design a logo, it is something that is very very crucial to your brand. That's why most time I tell clients that if you are just starting out, most times it's not even advisable to like immediately view the logo. If you're not ready yet to pay properly to get a good logo, it's better you just keep using your brand name, and when you're ready, you create a logo that can last you at least 10 to 20 years. So if you use a logo for like 5 years and you get to change it and change it, people will not recognize your brand when they see it. So the reason why we use a particular logo for a long while is so that when people see it, they would know it wherever they see it. So that's what we're talking about, memorability and simplicity. Now this logo might look very very simple, but there is a lot that went into designing it, right? There's a lot that went into designing it. Now why should a logo be made? How would you know a logo is simple, right? It's after the designer have made it, right? So if a designer have made a logo already, let's say you can easily design and say this logo is not hard now. But there is a process the designer went through. Like if you check that process, you find out that that design was not made that simple, right? So when they finish making the design will look so simple that you can recreate it. For instance, let's say I want to recreate this logo now. Let's say I'm using a box instead, but there is something called the golden ratio, which can be also applied to design this logo. So I can just say, okay, let me use a box. I convert the box to a curve. Then I say I prepare some nodes here. So the reason the logo is looking simple is because somebody has already designed it, right? But when it gets to your own turn to design a logo, my dear, it's going to take you sometimes days. So let's just quickly recreate this logo right here. So I'll change here to, I think I've already changed it. So mind you, as I'm saying, the way you're seeing me creating this now, this wasn't the way the guy created the logo. So it is easier most times to recreate people's logo when they have created it already. So it is an easy way to even practice, so that when you're designing your own logos, it wouldn't feel like maybe you're solving maths, right? So you see, just like that, even though it's not that perfect, at least it's looking like it. So I'll just convert here to curve also. And just like that, we have the logo, right? So, like I said, simplicity is key. Whereby the logo is not really that stressful, not too cumbersome. So, because it's a computer company, doesn't mean we are going to see a computer and a mouse inside of the design. Like for instance, the logo we made the other day for, I think, for a coding company, what we did was we used brackets, right? That was what we used, and I told you the reason why we use brackets. If you have not watched that video, you go and check it out. Creating simple vector stuff. So I told you that brackets are kind of like representations for coding, right? So that was our idea, and we converted it to stuff like this and represented the brand. So most times, if you don't get to see the idea behind the design, you might not understand the vision or the idea that the designer is trying to portray at that point. So unless you now get to look at the idea, so we'll get into all that very soon, so you understand how we get to understand brand guides and briefs. All right, so this is what we did that last time. So then we talked, I said, talking about versatility. So we have talked about memorability, about your logo lasting, then simplicity and versatility. So if we're talking about versatility, means the logo can work on various mediums, right? So if you look at the Apple Series watch, you can see their logo there. You can see it on their laptop, see it on the business card, see it wherever. So the logo can work in various ways. So if your logo is rigid and can be applied on various platforms, it means that logo is not a proper logo, right? So whenever you're creating a logo, most times you have to test it on various mediums and say, okay, what if these clients are trying to brand a shirt? What if they are trying to brand a cap? Will this logo look fine there? Possibly. If the logo color is red, can I change it to white? Can I change it to black? So you see, we have to like be able to give the logo freedom so that it can work on various platforms easily. All right. Then timelessness. I think we've talked about timelessness. So when the logo is timeless, people would definitely remember it. All right. So developing a brand identity system. How do we develop a brand identity system? So this aspect, a brand identity system encompasses a consistent visual representation, right? Representation of a brand, including logos, color schemes, fonts, and other design elements. So it ensures that all brand materials maintain a cohesive and recognizable look. All right. So a good example I can give is MTN. So you just try and go to the MTN Instagram account. and check, you will see their posts, both their flyers, their adverts on their website, wherever they post, either is having the color yellow or is having black and maybe a bit of white. Those three colors are their primary colors. I think no other colors even come in, right? So those three colors are primary colors. So we use the colors to tie the brand together, right? And also their brand patterns, right? And also their brand iconography, also the typography they use, that is the font. So a particular font would be used all through. It doesn't matter what they are typing. Headers, body of the letter, through their brand strategy, you will find out their brand fonts, and that will be the consistent font they are using. So when you are designing for a client and they made you like their official designer, you have to find out what is the brand font for this company, so that you wouldn't be changing fonts in every design. So whenever they see that design, whenever they see a design somewhere, even though they don't see the logo of that brand, once they see the design, they'll say, oh, this design belongs to this client, because a particular font has been tied with them. People know them with that particular font or that particular color. Like I said, if you're working in your area and you see a very big billboard, you do not see anything on it, just yellow all through. One of the brands that will come to your mind must be MTN, right? MTN was one of the first brands that comes to your mind. Or if you see a red billboard, you might think of Coca-Cola, right? Or you think of Airtel, right? Because most of these brands, they have owned these colors. And how did they own it? It's because they have used it consistently for a long period. All right. So these are the things you are going to look about when developing a brand identity system. So it ensures that all brand materials remain cohesive and recognizable. So we will develop a brand identity system for a fictional company, and it will involve company primary and secondary colors, typography choice, and creating logo usage guidelines. All right. So we are getting closer, so we'll have to get a brief. But since we don't have a brief, I'll be using our WhatsApp group, right? I'll use the Meta AI inside, so everybody is going to see the brief inside of that group, and we will study it, and from there we will now learn how to create a good logo. All right. So creating logos and brand materials in CorelDRAW. So in this segment, you will learn how to use CorelDRAW to design logos and create branding materials that aligns with brand identity. All right. So you apply what you have learned about logo design by designing a logo and creating brand materials such as business cards and so on and so forth. So I'm going into our WhatsApp group. So what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to use the Meta AI inside of our group. So in case you don't know how to use the Meta AI, you can just watch. You will see the message inside. So because before you design, it means that a client has given you a job, right? And we don't have a client that's going to give us a brief. So most times we have to use Meta. So even as your design journey goes on, it's not until you have a client most times you design. You can just create a practice project. This way you are building your portfolio and your skills. So not only for logo, even for flyers, you can ask Meta to act like a client and give you a brief. So I'm doing it in your group right now. So I'm saying at Meta, kindly act as my client and give me a logo design job for your brand. Come up with a name also and a good brief to help me understand. So I'm sending the message, so you can go back to your WhatsApp group right now and check what it gave us. So I can see it said Lumina, a combination of lumin from luminous and AA. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to copy this stuff that he said and I'll put it in our chat box in the class so that we can see it from our screen itself. So let me open the chat. Let's see what our senior man just said. So you can open the chat box. Wow, this chat box like to behave like really most times. Open please so that we can start this job. So let me read from my phone first since it's still loading here. So the first thing first in creating a logo, first of all, is to understand the perspective of who you are designing for, right? Because if you don't understand what the client wants you to do, you won't be able to design properly. So most times you might design what you want and you feel it's good, but it is not aligning with what the client wants. So this is why there is a stage of communication, right? So we have to understand properly what the client wants, and this is what a brief looks like. So most times there are some clients that don't even understand what they want, right? So you have to like ask them the proper questions for them to tell you, like, what is your brand name? They tell you the brand name. What does your brand do? They tell you what the brand do. Then you ask, what industry is this brand in? If they don't really understand, you say, okay, what other brand do you think do what you do, right? So the reason we ask all this is so that you can make research about those particular brands that do exactly what they do. Then when you find those brands, you can now get inspo, like get inspirations from what those brands have done. Then you can now start your own design easily. So everybody can open their own chat box, check what I posted here. The first thing there is, I'll be happy to act as your client, blah blah blah. The brand name is Lumina. Alright, so now Lumina, a good name, right? So let's get to understand what does Lumina mean. So he said it's a combination of lumin from the word luminous and AA to represent spark of creativity. So Lumina is an AI powered creative tool platform that aims to spark innovation and illuminate new ideas for artists, designers, writers, and what musicians. So our mission is to empower creatives with cutting edge technology that inspires and streamlines their creative process. So it is an AI tool. So I think it is an AI tool that helps creative people work well, right? And so here's the brief. What do they want us to say? Design a logo that embodies the essence of Lumina's mission and values. The logo should be modern, sleek, and versatile, enough to be used across platforms like web, social media, mobile app, and merchandise. So here we now get to what kind of thing would this client like to see in the design? What kind of design would they like? So key elements, they said light or spark element to represent creativity and inspiration, right? So it means that we might use a light bulb or we might use a light glow, right, or spark to represent this. Then AI or technology node to signify the platform AI power capabilities. Artistic or creative expressions to reflect the platform focus on art and design. So what color would they like? So you see, some clients might also tell you their own color preference, right? And if you check the note there, you see that they wrote a bright energetic blue and they gave us the X code. So remember when we talked about X codes, right? So we're going to use this color, and their secondary color is a deep rich gray or similar as code here. Then the accent color is the vibrant creative orange. So what kind of logo style do they want? They said we can go for a word mark or letter form based mark. Wow. So we already know what a word mark or letter mark logo is. Scalable, simple yet distinctive. The design requirements, okay, these are what I'm going to export for them. So inspiration behind the brand is think about the intersection of art and technology, explore geometric shapes, light rays or spark elements, Consider incorporating a stylized L and A. That was good also. Letter L and A. So for the word mark, they said we can try out L and A. Then also we can also try out abstract, which is using spark or light rays blended with letter A. Okay. So we've gotten all this. So the next thing we want to do is make research, right? And one of the best places to make research as a designer is on Google, right? But if you use Google most times, you might be limited. So we can visit a dedicated website for research, and one of the best one is called Dribble. All right, Dribble, or you visit Behance. All right, Dribble or Behance. So we are going to be visiting these websites to get inspos on this. So please tell me, can you still see my screen currently? What did you say? Okay. So I don't know what's wrong with this Explorer. Okay, I'm trying to solve that issue right now. The stuff is still sharing, but I don't know why it's not showing on your phones. I'm checking it on my phone right now, but I'm not seeing also. So trying to fix this. So, but before that, I want you, whether on your phone or your PC, visit this website, Dribble, DRIBBBLE. The B is in three letters, DRIBBBLE. Right, DRIBBBLE.com. Then you try to open an account there, just like when you're opening a social media account. So, open an account with them, all right. So you just try that out. If you're done, you just tell me that you're done with opening that account. So Dribble is like a website for Dribble, DRIBBBLE. The B is 3, DRIBBBLE.com. Yeah. Have you guys seen the website? Namaste. I go. Just say you go prefer them. To switch the other side.
This one okay.
You do okay, but they shake something. Okay. The extension, yeah. This is my extension.
Feels simple.
Don't finish. Brain extension, huh? So have you seen the website? Have you guys tried to open the accounts? Please, you can say it in the chat box. Because it's better if you create a website with Dribble. I say a website, an account with Dribble. So that you'll be a verified user. So whenever you want to make research, you can. So to open it, you can use your Gmail account. So in like 5 minutes time, we'll start sharing again. I think I should type this thing here. There's another one I'm typing. Behance.com. So I brought out the brief. Yeah, so that I wouldn't have to go back into the chat again. Lab last strength. So you can do similar thing like this whenever your clients give you like a brief. So you bring it out inside of your artboard. That's why most times some designers have like extra screen so that they can spread all this. So this is what we call a brief, right? So the brief will have all the informations that would help you design the logo properly. Alright, so we can read it. So we've read it already, so there's no point reading it again. We don't have all those time. So the next thing we are going to do before we start designing, there's what we call mind mapping. Now, where we are going to use mind mapping is if the client had not given us all these key elements. So mind mapping is a situation where you can use your paper, you can use your computer. So you use the brand name and come up with names that that resonates with that brand. So from the name Lumina, so the client has already told us that Lumina means illuminate, right? So they are talking about light, so something like that, and they want us to design something that embodies that. And if you look at, so if I should create a mind mapping for illuminate, when I put Lumina, the first thing I'm going to write is illuminate. And what does illuminate mean? Illuminate means to shine. So am I right shine? Am I right bright? Now if I were to now say, I'll now draw a line under shine. I'll now say under shine, what kind of icon represents shine? Say okay, the sun. We can say a light bulb. We can say a spark. Let's say bright. What does bright mean? Somebody that has wisdom, understanding, creativity. And if you see from the brief, they said it's an AI technology that is AI powered. So for the to be AI powered means that it is knowledgeable, right? So you see that everything, the mind mapping I'm creating is connecting, right? A light. So when somebody is talking about light, they're talking about having an idea. So what represents idea? We can say a light bulb, right? So when we now see all these icons together, we can use it to represent the brand, right? So that way that's why you can say the designer would create like 4 or 5 icons and present them to their clients. How is this possible? Is in the stage that they have created their mind map. So when they have created a mind mapping stage, they can now say, okay, from these names I can create all this. So let's say somebody that sells real estate, let's say their name is Prime Estate, Prime. So how will I just think of an icon that will represent them? Let's say they want a pictorial kind of logo or an abstract icon. How would I think of an icon that will represent them? The best way to approach this is to go through mind mapping. I will just write out Prime, then I will draw branches from it. What does Prime means, right? Prime, if somebody is in his prime, if when you say Ronaldo is in his prime, mean that he's in his young age, is in his best form. So what represents prime? Let's say in school, if somebody is the prime of the class, is the leader, what represents? Some people will say A plus, right? A plus. When somebody gets A plus in a class, that person is kind of like at top of their game, right? When we say at the apex, somebody's at the top. Crown sometimes represent prime, right? So something like that. So from that we start thinking down on how to now make it minimal instead of making it putting house, then put the mother and father in front of the house to show that they're talking about real estate. So we'll think of all this all together, and before we now come up with something that is spectacular. For instance, I created a logo for a brand recently. The idea is home, right? It's a real estate company and they want their houses to be all over the world, right? And we use like universe and home all together. Now if you look at the icon we created an icon that has like home in negative space with universe stuff around it, right? So how did we come up with this? Is through mind mapping, right? So after we have done mind mapping, we're now going to a stage which is called research. So that was why I said we should visit Dribble or Behance. So what we are going to do in Dribble is that, remember I said as a designer it's not advisable to just go into designing. Even though right now with all these things I've said, I've gotten like concepts I want to apply, right? I can just go in and start creating the logos with the concept I have. Now it is still better and advisable that you make research so that you will see other things that other designers did. How did they approach it? How did they approach all these things? Then after you have made research, the next thing you do is you create sketch, right? Sketches of your own ideas, not sketch of what people have done already, right? You're not going to now sketch your own ideas and then bring it into a vector form. All right. So now let's go to dribble. I think I've opened it already. Yeah. So this is dribble. Now this is my account. As you can see, this is my picture here. Onwago Joshua. I've not uploaded anything here. I don't know. I don't have chance to be uploading things here. Even to upload on Instagram self, I don't have enough strength. Right. But I promise myself next year it will be part of my resolution. All my designs I'll be putting it here on dribble. Alright. So you can see all these most designs here. We have UI designs, UI UX designs, logo designs, branding and stuff. So these are kind of icons that other designers have made, and you will see their name, right? See the names of the designer, a logo designer. You can also hire designers from here. So what kind of logo are we working on? So let me get back to my brief. I'm going to be looking at the brief here. The inspiration, they said explore geometric shapes like light rays. So I can just come here and say light ray icon. So let me see how does other designers apply light ray in their design. So you would see a whole lot of them. So when we now start seeing this stuff these people have done, what I'm going to do is that I'm going to copy these ideas and paste them in my design board, right? So what I'm doing actually is that I am creating a mood board. You saw that person that did assignments yesterday that posted in the group pictures, right? So we are going to be selecting images, lot of them. I think because of our time, we'll select like at least 3 to 5, and that would be our mood board. All right. So after you have created a mood board, we now create sketch, and these sketches would now be what we are going to use as the logo icon. So you can see light ray icons. So you see how most of them are looking like. So we have pointy arrows which are representing the sun, right? Light ray or spark. And every time network will be stressing our life in this place. I may not have realized that since yesterday MTN has not been normal. Okay, we don't have enough time to wait for all the stuff to load. So let me copy. Okay, perfect. I'm going to take this and nah, I think this one is better. I'm going to copy this image. So you see I've created like 2 pages. This first page here we're talking about logo and branding. So page 2, let me delete this first page. Oh, no need, sir. No need to delete it. Let me get into. I'll insert another page in page after. So whatever I copy, I'll paste here. Hey, whoa. I don't have all this time. I don't want to start clicking on these images one after the other. So what I'll do, I'll just screenshot, print screen, let's paste it. So there is a shortcut on your keyboard which is print screen. So you can trace out pictures that way. Just copy and paste, and you can edit them. So I can't be clicking on every logo icon here. We don't have that luxury of time. Alright, so like this now we have even gotten like 3 already. So we'll go back there. So whatever they said, explore geometric shapes. I think most of the stuff we have brought already have geometric stuff in them already. Then spark. I think I have spark already. I like what they did with this letter C. So you can see the C is turned into like sun rays. So we can try that out even with our letter A also. So you remember in the it said consider incorporating a stylized letter L or letter A, right? Any of them. So either we are using the letter L or we are using the letter A. I will just screenshot this. We have something that look like a star already, so I don't want to use that one again. She be command me. So print screen. So in case you're having problem with downloading pictures, sometimes you can just print the screen. It's just like screenshot. Final inspiration. Let's get one more. Rex. You do biro for it.
Huh?
Get pen, like biro for it.
Read the name.
No. Like I forget my biro for us. I want sketch like this. Start fine, I bet you get biro. You get biro. Alright. So let's continue like this first. I might not later get to sketch. So now we've had this. So this is what we call a mood board, right? So a mood board encompasses things that is going to inspire you to now design what you want to work on, right? So I'm going to let's consider key elements they want: light, spark, AI technology to signify the platform's power capability. There's something I saw before. Stylized letter A, light rays. So let's make Lumina. So the spelling for the brand is Lumnaa, right? So from the word luminati. And we were told about light rays and spark. So spark most times look like this, all right? So let's just quickly create a spark so that I'll have like a direction of what I want to do. So I'll work with this spark first. Let's see how this spark will look. So from our brief here, it said a stylized letter L or letter A, right? So I'll be using this L instead. Then we'll see if we can make letter A also with the spark also. So we're allowed to create a wordmark logo. So if you look at this spark, I'm going to make it look like a letter L currently. So for it to look like a letter L means this pointy arrow here, I'll move it upwards a bit. Alright, so you can see the L here. The L is from here to here. So let's say we are typing a letter L normally, right? L will start from here. I wouldn't use Arial, so let me use this. So this is one of my favorite fonts currently. So if this L is italicized, let's say it's tilted, this is what it's going to look like, right? Exactly, that's the point. So let me try on the letter L, so we wouldn't like lose touch entirely of. I think I still prefer this one because it's looking more better than this. I mean, what do you guys think? So in case you are creating a rationale behind it, to say okay, this was created from this, right? So the kind of thing we are going for is combination mark. So it's a thunderbolt that's looking like a letter L. So this is our first one. So we're also told that we can create with letter A also, right? But I wouldn't prefer A because A is at the back. But let's see. A capital letter A that is looking like a spark. So mind you, everything I'm doing right now, I'm doing it in black and white, right? So it is preferable to design first off in black and white. Don't worry about your color at this point. So let's see how we can turn this to a thunder also. So I can just take this upwards. I already have what I want to do in my head, I've forgotten it now. So I'll remove the color inwards. So now I'll tilt this spark, making it look like an A also. Please stop clicking. So for this to work as letter A means we have to have like an extra stuff down here. So I'll be drawing an extra box down here. Convert it to curve. Let me bring it out and see what we are doing. Not feeling this A. Let's leave the A out of it. So what other idea we have? Sun spark. Sun that illuminates around. Mm, let's see if we can make L to look like this C also. So to achieve this kind of one, it means that I'll go for like a thicker L, let's say Gilroy heavy. Alright. So I would have like a box. So I'll convert this box to a curve and move this place closer. Right, so this should be like a white color. Mm. I think this last one is not making sense. Just going to use this 4. Let me see if I duplicate it and try it out down here. Now it's giving like zebra, zebra crossing field. Let's see if I give it this color. Let's see if this is coming out nice. Yeah? So we are going to use these stuffs to intersect them. So let's just simplify. Back minus front, back minus front. So like this, we have two options currently. Luminous. Now I want to go for something like this also, where I will have like a circle in here, 0.2. But inside of it, instead of using the house that they use in there, I'll be using letter L as negative space inside of it. So we've explained what negative space is, right? So is the spacing inside of a design or spacing around. So like inside this stuff, like you can see the solar panel, I mean the sun ray, and we have a house inside of it, right? A house shape. So that house was placed inside here using negative space. Then this spacing around them, we can call it maybe a white space, right? So I'll duplicate this, rotate, I think by 10. Let's say 90 degrees. So I'll duplicate this one and mirror it. I don't think this is working here. I'm going to draw my own by myself. Oh god, just to copy box. Why this stuff is loading? Ah, I'm using duplicate tool. place this one to this side. So we can duplicate and rotate like this. So now we have this. So I can weld. Remember welding. So weld them all and they become one. So basically, it can even be like the full logo if we want, right? I'm even thinking of making it like this. So instead of using these dots inside here, so remember I said letter mark logo also. I think this will be like the last one I'm doing, sir. Hey, I've converted it already. Control D. So I want to have an extra one here. So I'm going to convert this text to a curve. Control Q. So then I can delete this point they have here. Bye bye. So this can serve like our dots instead. I'm thinking of rotating it. The spacing in between is looking a bit. Oh shit. So I want to increase the airline for this. It's not looking thick enough, so I'll go for like let's say 3.0. 3.0 is much. Let's see 1.5. So objects, convert outline to objects. Then we can weld them together. So let's look at our options of what we have created. I think this 3 is enough. We are not going further. So I'm going to my next page. So what I want to do now is get the color code that they gave us. So we'll now try out that color, the colors on the items. So I'll need like 3 boxes. Let me see this color. How does this color look like? So remember, you go to your interactive field to select this uniform field, then field color. So now we cannot type the X code here inside of here. So the code they have here is 03A9F4. Wow, it's even blue. Okay, energetic blue. How will this thing come out? My brain was going towards yellow because I was thinking of solar. I forgot that what we are dealing here is an AI stuff. So this is 3333. How many three? It's gray. Then last one is orange. FFC107. I think this is like a split complementary color they used here. Alright, so we are done here. I'm going to make this 2 by 2. And duplicate it. Ctrl D, Ctrl D. So I'll fix in those colors. So let's bring the first stuff here. Let's see how we're going to apply this color now. How we're going to do mixture of two colors. So definitely our text color will be this. So this is what our text color is going to be. So you be mindful. This is not black, right? It is gray. It's this color here. So I might want to mix these two colors together. So remember we mix colors. F11. Let's see how blue will work with the yellow. Hold on, I'm trying to try something else. So instead of having fill, let's use airline instead. So let me see if it copies the color this time. Do you think this is better than the other one? Or should we go for like the airlines outside fill or inside fill? I think I'll stick with this one. Please stop hanging. Allow this class to be smooth. So let's try the same thing for this. I'm thinking of two stuffs for this one. breaking it apart and doing the same thing for all of them. So let's first try the first one. Edit copy properties. Now this is their color. Yeah. Then I want to break them instead. So I'll give each one this color. Ah, we will see this one. So here's the three icons we could come up, right? So we had short limited time. So we said to design these logos most times. Sometimes it might take us 2 days, 3 days. But these are the steps we take in designing a logo. So by tomorrow, out of these three logos now, we are going to like select a particular one. For me, out of all these designs, I think the one I'm tilting to is this one at the bottom here. So most times the first sketch you create might not be the final sketch that the client might accept, right? So we might still create more sketch, but based on we are just doing this for a class. So by tomorrow we'll make like a vote in the class and select which one you're using. But I feel I'll be using this one at the bottom, right? This particular one because of it has the letter mark, letter L in it, and still has like a spark, and it's a bit modern, right? And because of the kind of gradient fill color that we are using, so we are going to explore the logo better tomorrow, and then we'll create a brand pattern from it, and you will be learning how to create simple brand patterns, right? So we have come to the end of today. So you remember the steps I said from the beginning. First of all, you have to understand the design brief, right? So when we understand the design brief, then what key elements does this brand want us to use? Then we get to understand, okay, they want light, spark, right, which represent creativity and inspiration, right? And it's an AI technology, artistic for creative expression. We got to understand all this. What kind of logo style they were saying? A word mark or a letter mark based logo, which is scalable and legible in various forms, right? And the inspiration should be geometric shapes. So one of when we're talking about geometric shape, we talk about box, circle, polygon, triangles, and also the other shapes that are here. So if you check inside of one of our geometric shapes, you see like a thunderbolt there. So that shape is also a geometric shape. So I told you shapes that have measurements or equal scaling are geometric shapes, right? Then we have the free form shapes. So also we ask for light rays or spark elements. So I think if you look even in the key elements, there's light or spark. If you look at the inspiration, there's light or spark. Then a stylized letter L or A. So I think this one. Then after doing that, we had to now make research, and I told you a website where you can go, which is Dribble or Behance for these inspirations. Then after that, you create your own sketch. So when you have created a sketch, then you can now make it into digital form. First, you design in black and white. Then when you are done, you can bring it into this form. So tomorrow we'll continue. It's already 1 p.m. So thank you guys for today. We'll see you guys by tomorrow. Alright, so I will stop recording right now. So please, for those who are still trying out their assignment, please